So it is still the 3rd of the 5th. Alright, it's just later in the night. I've taken off them so I can use the clamps, and I've used vice grips as well. So, because I want the legs to only work in one plane, right, not two. So I'm going to have 2 legs there, front legs there, back leg there, and front legs are going to be in, they're going to be in 25, one thickness, so that when it's together or stacked up there, it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to have a bolt that goes through there and there that you just put in and screw, and it'll keep all these pieces steady while driving. And so, as you can see, the hinge will open, and then it'll plug in there, and then close and stay like that. Now, obviously, before I weld the bases in place where it's going to hold them, I'm going to have to weld all these hinges in. So I got 4, 2 more up here, they're over there, and then I'm going to have to weld the poles to this. So the roof assembly is going to be basically done, and then I'm going to need to clamp these in place with the roof assembly where it wants to be, and then hope it works, in short. And obviously these hinges can over angle, so like you can get more than 90 degrees out of these hinges, which is good because I want to try doing some so because the roof is, let me try and explain. So because the roof is actually on a slant, because the front is 5 centimeters slower than the rear, it's going to slant down. So these are going to be greater than 90 degrees, and those are going to be less than 90 degrees, probably like 95 and 85. And also it'll work when if I want to use, like do it as a triangle instead of as just a full-on square. So yeah. Alright, so I have it all here. With the car to the back of the shed, space cleared. So we have this. Alright, weld all these hinges in. Well, they're just all tacked in at 3 points, and we brace the hinges so the hinges weren't slightly skewed. What we did when we did it is put it like this over here on this piece of steel, and then clamped it down so that it was level, so the hinges were level with each other when they were in. But the problem is, obviously it's going to sit on this, right? Which means that thickness is added into the equation, which became a problem. It's only 1.5 mil, but when we put our post here, as you can see, 1.5 mil comes over the top. So what we need to do is, what I'm actually going to do is, I was going to undo all of these and do them all again, but then I thought, why? Because they're all wrong, but they're all exactly wrong. They are all identical. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the legs by, obviously when you bend a leg around a corner, because it's not square and it's not hinged around the center point, it will clip the corner there on the roof, and so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to cut that corner off on all of these. I'm going to get rid of all the burrs and everything, and then I'm going to weld them to the hinges. And then what I'm going to do is put it all in place, and then I'm just going to put this pole on the bottom as well as on the top, and therefore it'll basically counteract the last force, and it'll lower all of this by that amount, which is 1.5 mil, and then this all will be flush. And then when I open it and close it, it shouldn't bump the roof. That's the goal anyway. But I need to cut these before I weld them, because it'd be really annoying to try and get a grinder blade into there without cutting this pipe. So yeah, that is my thing I'm going to do now. Alright, so still night of the 5th. I mean the 3rd of the 5th. So as you can see, it's rounded. It's not that much, but it really doesn't have to be. It actually doesn't even need to be that much. So now my next job, I clamped them all together, and then I clamped it down together using this piece of steel and those two G clamps like that. Anyway, I'm going to pull these apart, get off the burrs in the middles, which I can't get, and then I'm going to clear the burrs on that end, and then I'm going to weld it. Alright, so I braced everything up, welded it all, tacked it all into place. It's just tacked in a little bit. It's actually come out really nice, so it's really compact and thin. Obviously it's 7.5 centimeters, but it's really not much. And if I just pick that up, that's just, so it works really well. The hinges, obviously it's really hard to raise. I might actually try it, but it's really hard to raise it up and have it stand on all four, because it'll just fall over one way because they're hinges and there's nothing to keep them there. But I plan to have it able to sit like this as well as pop up. So it'll be like, if I want to, it'll be, this is the roof, and then there'll be beams down here with the temp walls. So if I want, it'll look like that on top instead of just a floating square. So there's that. And that's, I think I'm going up for tonight. It's quite late. And then tomorrow, job is to, I haven't fixed the hinges yet, so I need to cut off all the hinges, redo all the hinges, and then I need to find some way of suspending it in the air. So I'm probably going to use the gantry, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. Here, and once it's suspended here, I can weld everything in place when it's in its correct position, and then yeah, that should work. And that's job for tomorrow. And then I have this art bit, which, so I tried it on the last thing, but the last one I cut too small and there was a few problems I did with the composite panel. So I'm going to cut a sheet out of this, and I'm going to try and actually make one of these side things permanent in the way that I want to do it, with the double-sided tape and silicone and stuff, and see what abuse it can hold up to, because don't care about that stuff, and I've ordered stuff, so it's like, well, when that comes, I'm gonna do it all in the same material, not use that. So yeah.